So often we'll want to process the whole of an array. We could have like 4 items, or we could have 10,000 items. And we want something to be done to every single item in the array. And the way to do that is to combine an array with a loop. So a loop is a sort of standard way of doing something over and over again, and when it's combined with an array, that's a really powerful operation, because we could start from the front of the array and we could just work our way through from beginning to end, doing something on each successive value in the array. So let's look at this array that we've got here. This array has got 4 elements, and you can see it's got the values red, green, purple and yellow, and it's the index runs from 0, so it goes 0, 1, 2, 3. So if we wanted to actually process all the items in that array, let's use a loop. So here's the code for that. Now the first line actually sets the array up, so you can see we've got red, green, purple and yellow. Now let's have a look at the actual for loop. So the first line of the for loop, you can see we're going to use a counter called I, and I is going to have a value of 0. So in this instance, the indexed array is numbered from 0. That's the default. So our counter will start from 0. And so the items in the array go 0, 1, 2, 3. So we want to process all those items. So we're going to set our loop condition to say while I is less than 4. What that will enable us to do is it will enable us to progress round the loop and I will take the values 0, 1, 2, 3, and obviously that will correspond to the 4 boxes of the array. And what do we do every time we've done the loop? We're going to add 1 to I, and that's that I++ notation that we've discussed before. Inside the loop, well, let's do something very straightforward. Let's just print those values out. So I'm going to use colours, and I'm going to use the index indicator inside square brackets. So we'll go colours 0, colours 1, colours 2, etc. So we start off, I has a value of 0, and that prints out red. In other words, the value that's in the first cell of the array, which is indexed with the value of 0. Add 1 to I, we print out green. Add 1 to I, we print out purple. Add 1 to I. Now here, I has the value of 3, and 3 is less than 4. So again, the loop runs, we print out yellow. We add 1 to I becomes 4, and the loop stops because 4 is not less than 4. That returns false, so we drop out of the loop. The loop terminates. Now, one of the issues you have to watch out for when you're using a loop and an array is to think about how many times the loop will work, how big the array is. Now in this instance, we know that the array has got 4 elements in it, so when it comes to constructing the for loop, look at the second thing. I know I can put I is less than 4. But what happens if this occurs? What happens if we add an item to the back end of the array? Now what will happen is we get red, green, purple and yellow, and the reason for that is because of this. The condition would have to be changed. We've now got 5 elements, so that condition doesn't quite satisfy the criteria that we need to hit every single item in the array. So this is the problem, because if the array changes, we'd have to change the index counter, the value of the condition, to say, have we actually finished processing the array? Now, often in our programs, we won't actually know how many items there are in the array, so we can't actually write that number down. We can't write 4, we can't say I is less than 4, because we don't actually know it's going to be the number 4. So how do we overcome this? Well, there's a built-in function called count, and functions, as I've discussed, the functions in PHP, it's a very similar idea to functions in Excel or a different spreadsheet. And what count will do is count will tell us how many items there are in an array. And the way that we use it like this. We go count colours, and what that will do is that will count the number of boxes that there are in the array. So you can see now, this time, what will happen is, because there are 5 cells in the array, I will actually count and be iterated correctly around the loop and it will actually print out all the values, including the one at the end, including the last black colour. Now there are loads of useful functions out there, and you can look them up in their PHP help system online. This is the one that we're using here, count, and in brackets we place the name of the variable that contains the array, and what it does is it returns the count of the number of cells in the array.